Thank you for joining today's presentation, Perspectives on Retail Payment Innovations. In the time that we have, I'll be taking you through the highlights from our latest payments tracker findings on retail payment innovations. We'll begin with a look at the point-of-sale payment innovations, followed by Buy Now, Pay Later. I'll close with a recap of the key insights. So, just a quick word on how the findings in today's presentation were obtained. We annually commission a payments behavior tracker consumer survey. The survey, we interviewed 1,500 Canadians online at two separate points in time in 2022. The first point was in Wave 2 between June 27th and July 8th, and Wave 3 between September 23rd and October the 7th. The findings are nationally representative of the Canadian adult population. One final note, throughout this presentation, I'll be referring to young, middle-aged, and older Canadians. Young Canadians refers to individuals who are 18 to 34 years old. Middle-aged Canadians are between the ages of 35 and 54, and older Canadians are 55 years or over. Before we dive into the results, it's important to do some context setting. These first few slides help us understand the overall trends that we're seeing as they relate to consumer payment attitudes, habits, and practices. Knowing this helps guide our understanding on consumer reaction and acceptance of retail payment innovations. Here we see the point of sale and remote payment transaction volumes over the past 5 years by payment type. POS volume refers to purchase transactions made in-store or via e-commerce platforms. Remote volume refers to transactions involving the use of financial institutions or payment service providers as intermediaries that move funds to intended payees through their services. So, for example, bill payments via online or mobile banking. Strong growth in digital payments at the expense of paper payments in both the POS and remote environments have been occurring over the past 5 years. Canadians are migrating away from cash and checks towards electronic payments, such as cash payments, card payments, electronic fund transfers, and online transfers, with the introduction of new access modes, such as online banking and mobile apps. In addition, an increased demand for convenience has resulted in a growing use of contactless payments. This next slide shows the degree of comfort that Canadians have with payment innovations. The consumer shift towards contactless and digital payments accelerated by the pandemic has led to an increased consumer interest for more digital payment options and frictionless payment experiences. As a result, consumers are becoming comfortable with embracing payment innovations that make their payment experiences more frictionless. As you would expect, young Canadians are more likely than older Canadians to be comfortable with trying digital payment innovations. For example, they're more likely to be comfortable with using wearable devices such as smartwatches or fitness trackers to make a payment, sending money using social media channels such as Instagram, using biometrics such as fingerprint, facial, or voice recognition to authenticate a payment transaction, and making an in-store payment using QR code. This will be a recurring theme throughout our discussion. In fact, many young Canadians are digital natives, so they've never known a world without smartphones and social media. So they're more likely to be early adopters of digital payment innovations. An overall trend we're seeing from our research on the effects of the pandemic on Canadians' payment behavior is that it sparked higher engagement in digital payments usage among older Canadians. The pandemic has led to an increase in the number of older Canadians making purchases by tapping their card. They're also using mobile payments and storing their payment information on e-commerce websites or payment apps more than they used to. Consumers are changing the way they want to pay, and retailers are providing options. Findings from the 2022 Future Retail Report, published by Square, reveal that consumers prefer using contactless payment methods for their purchases because it makes their shopping experience more enjoyable. A powerful insight here is that the payment process matters a lot in determining the overall shopping experience of consumers. That's because it's the final step in the shopping visit and usually the one that takes the most time. 84% of consumers say that measures put in place to make shopping a more contactless experience has greatly improved their overall shopping experience. In turn, 77% of retailers offer their customers contactless payment options. This next slide is based upon US data, but it's interesting to consider nonetheless. That's because it may also provide a glimpse into the future of retailer planned payment innovations in Canada. New research finds US retailers are planning real-time payment advancements to optimize customer experience. Other leading payment choices U.S. retailers plan to add over the next 3 years are scan and go merchant apps, account-to-account payments such as Venmo and Zelle, cryptocurrencies, and mobile wallet. What also stands out is that the top payment methods U.S. retailers plan to improve support for over the next 3 years include buy now, pay later, QR code, and electronic gift cards. The key insight here is that when consumers are able to purchase products in the same manner online as they do in store, offering desired payment choices and making the payment experience as frictionless as possible, it improves the overall payment experience for customers and helps retailers win greater shopper loyalty. Let's now dive into the insights around POS payment innovations, starting with one-click pay. The following description about one-click pay when shopping online was shown to survey respondents. So let me read this description to you. Imagine you're shopping online. When making a purchase, in most cases, you would need to add the item into your shopping cart, input your payment card details, verify the shipping billing information, and then confirm the payment overall. Suppose you could complete your online purchase without having to go through all of these steps. Instead, you press one button to purchase the item that you wish to buy, and everything else is taken care of. That is, payment and order fulfillment, by using personalized data on file with a retailer provided by you. So after showing this description to respondents, we asked them several follow-up questions. What we found was that 39% of Canadians are either extremely or somewhat likely to use the one-click pay feature when shopping online if the option was available. Older Canadians are significantly less likely to use one-click pay than young and middle-aged Canadians for making online purchases. The one-click pay feature when shopping online is not new. For example, MasterCard offers its MasterCard Click to Pay, which allows cardholders to shop without having to type in their card payment details. They simply look for the Click to Pay icon when checking out online where MasterCard is accepted. Visa offers this identical service for bank-issued Visa credit cards. As we saw earlier, a large percentage of Canadians have their payment details stored on a website or app. Close to 1 in 2 Canadians, or 48%, fall into this category. This may help to explain why a large percentage of Canadians are likely to use one-click pay when shopping online. Over 2 in 3 Canadians, or 68%, prefer to use their credit card for their one-click pay online purchases. Generally, Canadians tend to use credit cards more often than debit cards for online purchases, so this result isn't unexpected. Canadians who prefer using their credit card for one-click pay online purchases are drawn by their card loyalty reward programs. Older Canadians are also drawn to using the credit cards for one-click pay when shopping online, and that's because they feel their credit cards offer strong security and protection against payment fraud. Canadians who are either unlikely or unsure about using one-click pay for their online purchases are most concerned with storing their personal information online with a merchant or payment processor. They also prefer to have a chance to go through and verify the details of the payment transactions themselves. Next, let's take a look at invisible payments. The following description about invisible payments when shopping in-store was shown to survey respondents. So the description reads, imagine you are shopping in person at a store. When making a purchase, in most cases, you would need to follow these steps. A, bring the items you wish to purchase to the store checkout. B, you wait in line. C, the store employee scans and rings up the items to be purchased. And finally, you pay for your purchase. Now, suppose you could complete your store purchase without having to go through all of these steps. For example, in the US, Amazon Go stores offer their customers a checkout-free shopping experience. Here's how it works. All you need is an Amazon account, the free Amazon shopping app, and a smartphone. When you arrive, open this app, tap in-store code, and scan in with the QR code presented. Just browse and shop like you would at any store. Once you have gathered your items, you're able to walk out of the store, and the scanner at the exit will automatically account for items in your shopping basket and charge your payment card. So again, after showing this description to respondents, we asked several follow-up questions. Again, what we found were that 41% of Canadians either are extremely or somewhat likely to use invisible payments when shopping at a store if the option was available. Young and middle-aged Canadians are significantly more likely to use invisible payments than older Canadians when shopping at a store. This finding points to the recurring theme that young Canadians are more likely than older Canadians to be comfortable with trying new digital payment methods, as invisible payments is not yet available in Canada. Canadians who are either unlikely or unsure about using invisible payments for their in-store purchases are concerned with safeguarding their personal information, giving up control, that is, giving up the ability to verify that the payment transaction was properly executed, and they also prefer the personal interaction with store employees. Next, let's take a look at Scan, Pay, and Go. The following description about Scan, Pay, and Go when shopping in-store was shown to survey respondents. So imagine a grocery or convenience store that offers Canadians a new way for making their purchases at the store. You scan, pay, and go. Here's how it works. Download the mobile app from the App Store or Google Play. Open the app in a participating store and tap the mobile checkout icon on the homepage. Scan the barcode on each product to add it to your basket. Discounts or promotions will be applied automatically. Pay for the purchases in the app using Apple Pay, Google Pay, or a debit or credit card. Confirm your purchase by scanning the on-screen QR code at the confirmation station before you exit the store. So what we found after showing this description to respondents was that 35% of Canadians either would be or very somewhat comfortable with using Scan, Pay, and Go when shopping at a grocery or convenience store. Older Canadians would be significantly less likely to be comfortable using Scan, Pay, and Go when shopping at a store versus other age groups. On the other hand, young Canadians are significantly more likely to be comfortable using Scan, Pay, and Go when shopping at a store compared to other age groups. The next part of our discussion is on Buy Now, Pay Later. Although Buy Now, Pay Later has been in use in other jurisdictions such as Australia, the United Kingdom, and the US for quite some time now, it's an emerging payment method in Canada. Here, the Buy Now, Pay Later market is concentrated among a few providers: PayBright, Afterpay, Sezzle, and Affirm. During the past few years, the Buy Now, Pay Later space saw increased activity with the entrance of more competitors, including the big banks, Visa and MasterCard, and significant vendor partnership deals between big tech companies and established Buy Now, Pay Laters, which is further disrupting the Canadian payment market. The following description about Buy Now, Pay Later was shown to survey respondents. Buy Now, Pay Later is a form of short-term loan in which you pay for your purchase at a later date, payment installments. These payments are structured in such a way that the payment amounts are equal, and the payment due dates follow a preset schedule, with the first payment date due at the time of purchase. If you do not make your payments on time, some Buy Now, Pay Later companies charge you interest or fees. Unlike a bank or a credit card provider, Buy Now, Pay Later companies usually perform a soft credit inquiry rather than a hard credit check when you apply. So after showing this description, a few questions were asked of respondents. What we found was that 3 in 5 Canadians, or 62%, are aware of Buy Now, Pay Later services, while 1 in 10 have used it to make a purchase in the last year. Overall, Buy Now, Pay Later usage in Canada has remained relatively steady, hovering around 10 to 14% since 2021. Young Canadians are more likely than other age groups to have used Buy Now, Pay Later to make a purchase in the past year at 14%. Young and middle-aged Canadians are significantly more likely than older Canadians to use Buy Now, Pay Later in the near future to make a purchase. We saw that 17% and 12% are more likely versus 7% respectively. The high inflationary environment that we're currently experiencing may be contributing to a rise in Buy Now, Pay Later usage, especially among young Canadians. Although discretionary purchases have declined overall as a result of reduced purchasing power, many young Canadians are turning to Buy Now, Pay Later for their everyday purchases, such as household goods, meals, and groceries. Young Canadians in particular are drawn to Buy Now, Pay Later because it makes it easier to budget their spending. 43% mentioned this. Is an easy, convenient way for making purchases at 41%, and it allows them to defer payment for their purchases at 38%. Older Canadians like using Buy Now, Pay Later because they're able to defer payment for their purchases without incurring any interest payments at 40%. Besides not having a need to use a Buy Now, Pay Later service at 55%, many Canadians choose not to use Buy Now, Pay Later because they do not want to go into debt. So 41% of Canadians mentioned this. Middle-aged and older Canadians are significantly more likely than younger Canadians to prefer using another type of payment method to pay for their purchases. So 29% and 39% versus 20% respectively. Young and middle-aged Canadians are much more likely than older Canadians to use Buy Now, Pay Later, regardless of purchase category, including day-to-day purchases such as groceries and gas. Middle-aged and older Canadians are significantly more likely than younger Canadians to prefer using another type of payment method to pay for their purchases. Among Buy Now, Pay Later users, paying for a vacation at 54%, out-of-home entertainment events at 38%, and recurring bills such as rent, utilities, and internet service at 36% are the top 3 cases that they would consider a buy now, pay later option. So let's recap what we learned today. Point-of-sale payment innovations such as one-click pay, invisible payments, and scan, pay, and go each have a large appeal among Canadians. The main barriers to adoption are concerns with storing personal information online, maintaining control and a preference for self-verifying the purchase transaction details, and preference for personal interaction with retail employees in-store. Young Canadians are much more likely than older Canadians to use any of these point-of-sale payment innovations if they were available. We also learned that the majority of Canadians have heard of buy now, pay later, but only 1 in 10 have either used it or plan to use it for making a purchase in the next 12 months. The main reasons Canadians choose to use buy now, pay later as a payment method is because it makes it easier to budget their spending and not having to pay upfront for a purchase without incurring any interest charge. The top purchase category for using buy now, pay later is for a vacation at 54% among Canadians. We also learned that young and middle-aged Canadians are much more likely than older Canadians to also use buy now, pay later for everyday purchases such as groceries and gas. This concludes our presentation. If you have any questions related to this presentation, please visit us at the Payments Canada booth if you are attending the 2023 Summit Conference in person, or contact us at info@payments.ca. Thank you very much for listening.